Council Chairman, Council members, honored guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, graduates, I wish to add my congratulations to the honorary graduates. The Honorable Henry Tang has had an illustrious career in public office, from Bureau Secretary to Financial Secretary and now Chief Secretary. His decisions and actions have a profound influence on life in Hong Kong. Professor Howard Goldblatt, through his English translations of modern Chinese literature, had contributed much to the understanding of Chinese literature by people in the West. Mr. Solomon Lee is a firm believer of diligence, perseverance, benevolence, putting these virtues into practice in his many acts of philanthropy. Dr. Daniel Chair has devoted decades of his working life to establishment and administration of higher education institutions with great success. Our university is proud to have these eminent citizens joining our large family. My very pleasant and important duty today is to congratulate all the 4,165 graduates of our university. Many of our 3,327 distance learning graduates are working full-time or part-time and with a family to support. Your achievement in earning a university degree is exemplary. Most of the 838 graduates of our full-time programs will be venturing for the first time into the highly competitive world to seek employment. The education that you have received in this university will stand you in good stead for facing the challenges. However, you should be reminded that in the 21st century, there is a need for lifelong learning, as the Chief Secretary has just told us. University education is a very precious experience, not only for the knowledge that you have gained, but also for the development of powers of critical analysis and creative thinking, a wider vision of life, and the establishment of a network of colleagues for friendship, future communication, and mutual help. In a knowledge-based and affluent society, it should be available to a large number of citizens. Yet, if one looks back at the situation in Hong Kong, the opportunities were very limited, even as recently as 25 years ago. In 1980, only 2% of the relevant age group, that is, aged between 17 and 20, were able to enter the two local universities, the University of Hong Kong and the Chinese University of Hong Kong at that time. In the ensuing 10 years, up to 1990, this increased to 9% due to the offering of a small number of degree programs by the then Hong Kong Polytechnic, City Polytechnic, and Baptist College. In the following decade, up to 2000, the percentage doubled to 18% due to the establishment of the University of Science and Technology, the Academy for Performing Arts, and the upgrading to university status of the Hong Kong Polytechnic, City Polytechnic, Baptist College, and Lingnan College. This 18% was still a very low percentage compared with advanced countries. The establishment of the Open Learning Institute of Hong Kong in 1989 by the then Hong Kong government was a signal that it recognized this problem and saw the urgent need for a large increase of university graduates. The Institute, as you all know, became a fully fledged university in 1997 as the Open University of Hong Kong. Our university has enabled some 58,000 people, including some 9,600 in mainland China, to obtain a university qualification, and another 222,000 to benefit from our programs and short courses. After a relatively short existence of only 19 years. This has been achieved with only infrequent one-off grants from government and no recurrent funding for operational costs. The recent upgrading of Xi'an College to university status and the granting of authority to mount degree programs to Zhuhai College have also increased the opportunities for students of the relevant age group to obtain degree qualifications. Yet, there exists a great divide between the UGC-funded tertiary institutions and the rest because of the very generous grant subsidies to the former, resulting in much more favorable physical facilities, staff-student ratios, research support, and student support. The quality assurance bodies of the two groups are also different, namely the University Grants Committee, or UGC, and the HKCAVQ, the Hong Kong Council for Academic Accreditation and Vocational Qualification. It is therefore not surprising that the public perceives that there is a two-tier system of tertiary education in Hong Kong. Several years ago, the then Secretary for Education and Manpower publicized the idea of developing Hong Kong into a regional education hub. The Open University of Hong Kong strongly supports this, particularly as it may present an opportunity for government to take a comprehensive and overall view of tertiary education institutions, and their respective role differentiation for UGC-funded as well as non-UGC-funded ones. In our view, for the concept of a higher education hub to be successful, the following are required. Firstly, there needs to be some role differentiation between the different tertiary institutions in promoting their areas of strengths to potential international students. Secondly, there should be a gradual move to a full credit system whereby credits gained are transferable between institutions. Thirdly, within the initial 3 to 5 years, a division should be established in the Education Bureau with extra government funding to promote and market the programs and courses of strength to potential students in overseas countries. Fourthly, there needs to be a significant front-end government investment in physical facilities, particularly dormitories for student accommodation. And finally, there should be facilitation of immigration policies for international students to come to study in Hong Kong. Another initiative of the former chief executive to increase opportunities for post-secondary education without increasing government funding was to encourage and facilitate the setting up of community colleges to offer associate degree programs by providing interest-free long-term loans and free land grounds. Presently, some 10,000 associate degree students graduate yearly from 20,000 available places. The problem is that their qualifications do not give them an advantage compared to school leavers except in a small number of jobs in the civil service. Most of these graduates, naturally, would want to obtain a full degree, but only some 10% of them can be articulated into the UGC-funded institutions, although their own continuing education arms are the biggest providers and producers of associate degree graduates.